Top 10. What happens below ground is intriguing. The elevation of the sea level is greatly overstated. There are many wonders beneath our feet, sometimes a few meters, sometimes a few miles. Some excavations require tens of thousands of dollars and a team of international researchers, while others merely require a shovel and a flashlight. Pioneering scientific experiments, horrifying recollections of the near and distant past, and life forms that have avoided civilization for millennia are all part of the magnificent subterranean ecosystem. Here are 7 incredible underground events. Number 10. The Search for Dark Matter is a collection of articles regarding dark matter research. 250 scientists from 37 institutions established the Sanford Underground Research Facility in an abandoned gold mine over 1.6 kilometers 1 mile beneath the Black Hills of South Dakota Surf. Its goal is to make significant progress in the quest for dark matter, which has proven to be elusive. The project's name is Lux Zeppelin. Lux stands for Large Underground Xenon, while Zeppelin stands for Zoned Proportional Scintillation in Liquid Noble Gases. Of course it is. The goal is to figure out what the final dark matter puzzle piece might be. The matter-centric residents of the cosmos, which include everything from rocks, liquids, and gases to protons, electrons and subatomic particles, are all familiar to us. The problem is that their combined mass is not even close to that of the cosmos. To solve the puzzle, Lux Zeppelin intends to detect the presence of a physics unicorn known as a WIMP, weakly interacting massive particle. The project will necessitate a 1.5-meter-tall 5-foot tank containing about a fourth of the world's annual supply of liquid xenon. It is hoped that if a WIMP travels through, it will collide with a xenon nucleus, causing a flash of light or photon, allowing scientists to see dark matter. The site's deep subterranean location is designed to block out buzzing interference from the outside world, which has long hampered the search for dark matter. The experiment is expected to last 5 years. Number 9. 20,000 burial sites in a park. New York City is a modern metropolis with a history of egregious lack of planning. Officials couldn't picture the already hectic metropolis spreading more than a mile north, much less devouring Manhattan's 21.7-kilometer-long 13.5-mile island, even as late as the 1790s. In 1797, the city purchased property to construct a potter's field for the poor, convicts, and sick. The location was less than a mile from the city's growing urbanization. Yellow fever invaded New York City shortly after, with waves of the deadly contagious disease causing havoc from 1803 through 1804. The field proceeded to fill up, and by the early 1820s it had reached its maximum capacity. As part of a self-serving real estate scheme, Mayor Philip Hone unveiled plans to turn the land into a public plaza in 1827. During the development rush, disinterment and reburial were completely overlooked. The Potter's Field was christened Washington Military Parade Ground in honor of the country's 50th anniversary, before being abbreviated to Washington Square Park. According to the 2005 book Inside the Apple, a streetwise history of New York City, while estimates vary, it appears likely that over 20,000 persons were buried in the land they remain to this day under the grass and pavement of Washington Square. The real estate scheme paid off. Property values in the neighborhood grew by 240% over the next 5 years, thanks in large part to the college that would become New York University. Number 8. Adaptability to extremes. Late last year, hundreds of species were discovered surviving in extreme cold and complete darkness 200 meters 650 feet beneath the ice on Antarctica's extreme ice shelf, one of the world's harshest ecosystems. 7 different types of worms and moss animals known as bryozoans were identified in -2 degrees, 28 degrees Fahrenheit, water. The diversity of life is altering scientists' perceptions of how livable such severe undersea environments are. Though several of these species have previously been discovered in other parts of Antarctica, this is the first time they've been discovered in such a barren, life-filled environment. This could indicate how life in polar seas survived glaciers, said British Antarctic Survey marine biologist David Barnes. To reach the astounding subterranean location, researchers used a specialized hot water drill to dig through the ice and then dropped cameras down more than 60 stories. According to carbon dating, there had been life there for about 6,000 years. There have been other instances of unexpected existence in Antarctica. In other locations, microbes appear to survive on pulverized bedrock in the silt beneath the continent. Sponge-like organisms have been discovered half a mile beneath the ice, which one researcher described as finding a bit of the rainforest in the middle of the Sahara. While this latest finding was not as vast as the prior one, it does increase the number of known life-supporting habitats. Number 7. There is a city within a city beneath the city. With all due respect to Edmonton and Ottawa, which have average winter temperatures of -7.3 degrees Celsius (18.8 degrees Fahrenheit) and -6.5 degrees Celsius (20.3 degrees Fahrenheit), respectively. Montreal is the coldest bona fide metropolis in North America. Harbin, China, is the world's coldest city of its size, with a metro area of over 10 million inhabitants and an average wintertime temperature of -11.8 degrees Celsius or 10.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Montreal's average winter temperature is only -6.2 degrees Celsius, 20.8 degrees Fahrenheit, but due to its closeness to the St. Lawrence River, it seems considerably colder. Over time, the city has developed a novel way to combat the cold, tunneling beneath it. Under the cold feet of people on the street, a large network of malls, tunnels, and transportation systems exist, allowing Montrealers to literally live in the rain. The réseau network, which connects metro stations, office buildings, and residential complexes, stretches over 32 kilometers 20 miles, with much of it lined with high-end shopping and dining. Thinking the underground lifestyle in Montreal is so popular and vast, many commuters don't bother carrying a coat to work because they won't be spending any time outside. Without packing a jacket, students and visitors can leave dorms or hotels and walk to schools, universities, museums, theaters, and other attractions. Montreal's subway system is a tourist draw in and of itself, with attractions such as a skating rink and regular public art exhibitions. Number 6. Nothing. Unfortunately, no list of underground wonders would be complete without a legend who gave birth to probably the worst show in television history. Of course, I'm referring about Oak Island's curse. Oak Island is a small island about a mile long and half a mile broad off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada. People have been searching for a rumored wealth for more than 2 centuries, with links to everyone from pirates like Captain Kidd and Edward Blackbeard teach to secret societies like the Freemasons and Knights Templar. In 2006, Michigan residents Rick and Marty Lagina purchased a 50% stake in the company that owns the island, becoming the latest in a long line of treasure hunters. Since then, their failed ventures have gone from empty-handed to empty-headed, significantly lowering reality television's IQ, which is saying a lot. Find trinkets, proclaim that something else must be out there, and keep going. Then repeat the process. In 2021, The Curse of Oak Island completed its 9th season of treasure hunting. That's 138 hours of workers drilling empty holes in the ground and predicting where the next one will be dug. It's like watching a squirrel try to unearth a hidden acorn, except in the squirrel's defense, the acorn is genuine. I believe it is time to finish Season 9's nothingness. Number 5. Nothing. Thankfully, on an inconspicuous Berlin street just down the road from the huge Holocaust Memorial is a parking lot surrounded by typical 1980s-style concrete East German apartment complexes. There was no indication of the ground's bleak historical importance until 2006. A simple marker now informs passers-by of Adolf Hitler's last resting place, which is only a few feet under them. The paved-over area is jokingly referred to as the Fear Bunker parking lot by locals. It used to be the garden of the Reichskanzlei. It's where the Nazi leader spent the final 312 months of his life, descending into its depths on January 16, 1945, when staying above ground became too dangerous due to the bombing of Berlin. The first blasts of Soviet shelling on Germany's capital, where he spent his last birthday, were his gift. He'd marry his longtime fiancée there 9 days later, then commit suicide the next day in his quarters. Some sort of romantic getaway. For Hitler's bunker companions, his final days were a mix of craziness, psychosis, and imminent doom. Those around him tried to wiggle out, offering their best explanations for why they were no longer needed, while he assessed Berlin's deteriorating fortifications, held futile yet hours-long military strategy meetings, and generally dismissed reality. While much of the bunker was dismantled during Berlin's restoration, certain portions were saved. They've been walled off to prevent vandalism or worse tributes. Number 4. Drug trafficking. While a 3,218-kilometer 2,000-mile border wall between the United States and Mexico might hinder record-breaking illegal migration, it is unlikely to deter drug smuggling. Mexican cartels have had the resources and motive to take their illegal activities underground for a long time. San Diego, whose suburbs run all the way to the Mexican border, is typically their favored U.S. destination. Massive industrial zones with large warehouse buildings give anonymity on the city's outskirts. As a result, a cloaked underground highway with a terminal that can serve as a receiving and processing point has been built. San Diego has its own tunnel task force made up of local and federal agents. Because the activity is so widespread, the largest of these tunnels was discovered in March 2020 at a warehouse in Otay Mesa, a San Diego neighborhood. The ambitious passageway, nearly 1.5 kilometers long and 9 meters deep, was described by agents as the most sophisticated they had ever seen. With an extensive rail and cart system for quickly transporting drugs, forced air ventilation, and high-voltage electrical cables and panels. The tunnel, which had an elevator and a sophisticated drainage system, was dubbed Baja Metro by border agents. The raid yielded more than 2 tons of drugs, including 590 kilograms of cocaine worth an estimated $30 million. Number 3. The Hellish entrance. Thousands of people visit a tourist site in Turkmenistan's remote Karakum Desert each year. The Darvaza gas crater is a prime example of nature's might as well as humanity's foolishness. A team of Soviet geologists traveled to the Karakum Desert in quest of oil in 1971 while the Central Asian Republic was still a part of the Soviet Union. The country is rich in petroleum and natural gas. They began drilling after discovering what they believed to be a big oil field. They hadn't found oil, instead they discovered a massive pocket of natural gas that couldn't support the weight of their machinery. The site collapsed, engulfing their drilling rigs and triggering a chain reaction in the brittle sedimentary rock. By the time the ground had settled, there were numerous open craters, the largest of which was 70 meters wide and 20 meters deep. Everyone performed an excellent job. It becomes a lot more ludicrous. Shortly after the occurrence, wildlife in the nearby desert began to perish. This is due to the high levels of methane in the craters, which in addition to being flammable depletes the area's oxygen supply. As a result, the scientists decided to light a fire in the crater, anticipating all of the potentially hazardous natural gas to burn away in a matter of weeks. Their calculations were just a smidgen off. For nearly a century, the craters known as the Gates of Hell have been shining brightly. Number 2. Trees that speak. According to new scientific findings, trees are far more conscious, intelligent, and sociable than previously thought. Tree roots connected by fungi, bacterial matter, or other plants communicate information about environmental conditions like drought and disease beneath, and can even lend nutrients or water to each other. This shows that trees can take a much more cooperative approach to survival of the fittest than most naturalists imagined. The phenomenon has a witty name, the Wood Wide Web, which is believed to be 500 million years older than the World Wide Web. The first global map of the underground networks that make up this mystery region was published in 2019 by an international study that comprised 1.2 million forest plots in about 30,000 species. While trees fight for sunlight above ground, they work together amazingly well below. Trees use the web to convey chemical, hormonal, and slow-pulsing electrical messages about everything from looming drought to parasite threats. nutritional disturbances, and dangerous soil toxins. As a result, an early warning system has been devised that follows the principle of a rising tide lifts all ships. Mycorrhizal interactions, which are symbiotic associations between plants and fungus, are substantially responsible for the birth of the World Wide Web. Research has revealed this system's function in mitigating climate change through carbon storage, as well as its vulnerability to rising global temperatures. Number 1. The biggest living thing on the planet. The blue whale, the world's largest animal, is well known to many people. Perhaps they'd even come up with the world's largest tree, the giant sequoia, which reaches a height of 84 meters and has a base diameter of 11 meters. But to find the world's largest living thing, we'll have to dive underground. In Oregon's Malheur National Forest, a single fungus organism identified in 1998 encompasses 9 square kilometers, 312 square miles. There's a massive fungus in our midst. One of the reasons why so few people are aware of Armillaria ostiae's world record-holding life form is that it lives almost entirely underground. Armillaria ostiae is a hyphae network made up of fungal threads and cords, not a mushroom. It's a parasitic fungus that spreads throughout the forest floor in quest of new hosts after infiltrating tree bark and root systems. While parts of it do appear to replicate now and again, the massive non-mushroom remains mostly hidden. Photographs of Armillaria ostiae that aren't real have recently circulated on the internet. One depicts a house-sized mushroom soaring over awestruck bystanders. A mushroom stalk the size of a tree trunk is depicted in another photograph. As a result of the false fungus images, many visitors to the national park have been duped and disappointed.